Hey everybody, so my name is LaPretty and I am the Dominican Voodoo Spiritualist, and I'm going to be talking about what it's like to be a child of Oshun. So if you guys know or don't know, yes, I am the child of Oshun, Omo Oshun. And so people think that when you are a child of Oshun, it's all about being pretty, being lovely, being kind, being sweet, being rich, being successful, being powerful. And yes, her daughters do have those attributes, but let's talk about the challenges that you go through as a child of Oshun. Yes, Oshun is very attractive, very loving, very bubbly, very cuddly, but a lot of times she can attract people who may not be the right people for her, or sometimes she could be too giving, too loving, or over generous. And sometimes Oshun may even be able to attract a lot of lovers, but sometimes she can attract lovers who just simply want to take advantage of her. Because this is something that I've had an issue with, especially being a child of Oshun, and at times even being a child of Anaïs Sapien. And Anaïs Sapien is not an Orisha, but she is a Mysterio on the 21 divisions, and some of her kids may have this issue too, like being a person of light, or being like a yellow beam, being a bright spirit, being someone who is very enticing and attractive and pretty. Sometimes you attract the right kind of people to your light, but sometimes you attract mosquitoes that just want to come to your light and suck all the energy and light out of you. And as a child of Oshun, and even as a child of Anaisa, it can be challenging, being loved and liked, and then you have to deal with people sometimes not loving and liking you the way that you love and like them. So sometimes being a child of Oshun, you have to deal with a lot of rejection and a lot of disappointments, and sometimes, downfalls of relationships. And then not only that, but even though Oshun may have lots of love interests or lovers, sometimes that's all they are, is just lovers. They may just be, one night stands, or they may just be somebody who just wants to give you attention for the time being, or someone who just likes looking at you, thinking you're pretty, thinking you're sweet. They just want to wine and dine you, but they don't want anything serious. And when you are a child of Oshun, it can be challenging to know, like, yeah, I'm pretty, yeah, I'm a light, yeah, I'm bright, yeah, I'm futuristic and interesting, but people don't want to stick and stay with me that long. And then when you start to see people damage you from the way that they use you and from the way that they took advantage of you, it can be an emotional thing, because Oshun loves hard. Like, we even saw that with her and her baby daddy, Shango, when she had his twins and he wanted to go back to Oya because Oya was his one and only true love. And she's like, but I had your babies and we made love and we did all this freaky stuff with each other, and you don't want me after all of that? And he was like, no. He was like, I want to be with Oya. That's my heart. That's my girl. That's my woman. And Shango left Oshun. Like, a lot of times with the orishas, people like to make them feel, not make them feel, but a lot of times with the orishas, people like to romanticize a lot of these couples and marriages and whatnot. But a lot of these orishas have stories behind them with other orishas. Like, the orishas are a pantheon of family members. Like, more than likely, a lot of the orishas have either been married to each other, they're the mother or the father to one another, or they're like the daughter-in-law, sister-in-law to one another, or the second and third wife to another orisha. Like, it's just the one big happy family. Wink, wink, quote, quote. So that's how that goes. But yeah, when you're a child of Oshun, you can go through a lot of ups and a lot of highs and a lot of, success points, because Oshun daughters, like myself, we are very successful. We're very fortunate. We're very abundant. We are very, powerful. We're very, enticing. We are very bright, very light. We're very giving and loving. But sometimes we have to be a little stern, even though we don't want to, when we understand that people don't want us the way we want them. or that we have to see the bad in someone when all we want to see is the good. Because I think sometimes when it comes to the light that beams from Oshun, it kind of blinds us from ourselves and from other people. Because, sometimes the reason why people may not appreciate your light or love your light because they feel like it outshines their light, or sometimes people just may not be intrigued or interested in your light because you're just not the type of light that they want. But sometimes, as daughters of Oshun, we can kind of become blind by our own light by not seeing people for who they really are. Because being a child of Oshun, like, I've had a lot of highs and I've had, my ups and I've had my success points, but Oshun has really been like taking me through it when it comes to seeing people for who they are and recognizing people for who they are and making the decision to just not deal with them. And it can be hard for me because just like Oshun, when I love somebody, like I really love them. When I like them, I really like them. So I'll give them more chances than I should. But it's like when they've hurt me to my core, or when Oshun expresses herself to me by making me feel that pain and that hurt when it comes to the realization of how bad this person did me, I'm like, okay, yeah, now I gotta, cut this person off, let them go. It was nice to know you, but I gotta let you out of my life. So that's pretty much the experiences that I've had of being a child of Oshun. To those of you who know who your Orisha parents are, what have been your experiences of being a child of, say, Ilegua or Shango, and how you've noticed how sometimes sharing the characteristics of your Orisha parents isn't as happy and dandy like people make it sound to be. But also to the women who are daughters of Oshun, what has your experience like been in love or been with friends or even with family or even with experiencing different people? Going through your journey of your Orisha path and how Oshun sometimes has had to let you know in some painful realizations or situations that people you want sometimes are just not the people you need to want in your life.